down and meditate.
No, I definitely don't like what people view meditation. I don't do that, and I haven't necessarily tried it. So I would totally love to legitimately try meditation. But yeah, I guess you could say that's my form of meditation. Just starting in the morning, just kind of slow, just kind of peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what would you say the pressures of being an entrepreneur are?
Man, where do I start?
Yeah.
Uh, the pressures of being an entrepreneur. I'd say so. Let me ask you this: who is a specific audience that would be hearing this question? Because I can tailor this question to an audience.
Yeah, I think this would be for those young
Okay, that's what I
professionals.
thought.
Yeah.
So, one of the biggest pressures of the young entrepreneur is like, you got to be successful really fast, and you got to make it, and whatever. There's just no patience.
Mm.
That's the biggest thing I see lacking, and I lacked it so incredibly hard for the longest time. I'm thankful to my mentors who helped me develop patience in my journey. And I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, if they just realize that, look, if you're 18 or 19 or 20, even 25 years old, and you're networking with people, trying to learn new skills, trying to get business, trying to develop other streams of income, you are monumentally ahead of people, ahead of 80 to 90% of people your age.
Mm.
Like most people are getting, leaving college at 25 and not having a single clue what they're going to do. They're going to get some, 13, 14-hour job for a couple of years to figure out what they really want to do because they changed their major 2 or 3 times in college and they didn't really figure out a career. They just kind of have a couple interests in a couple different things, right? But that's okay because that's their story. So I'd say just one of the things for young entrepreneurs, just in terms of developing habits, is just be patient.
Mm. Dude, patience. And this is something that it's kind of like the Gary Vee approach, but it's something that I've seen and tried to apply to my life, and it's so important is that macro patience,
Yep.
micro speed.
Yep.
So what's your opinion on that? Just going, because I feel like a lot of people, they, especially at our age demographic, they want everything now,
Yeah.
but they're not willing to put in the work
Yeah.
to actually do it.
Yeah. So here's something that I'm gonna share that when you hear it, you're gonna be like, and you honestly are probably going to already do this, but when you hear this, it's going to sound so amazing and so obvious, but like 99% of like the population does not do this. A lot of people, they call this like the 1% comfort zone. Like people, like 1% of the population actually get out of their comfort zone and they just learn different mindsets and they get to a certain point. So yeah, I mean, it just depends on your platform, really.
So do you think that, like, what's your standpoint on fear then? Like getting outside your comfort zone, are you afraid of anything? Or, when something happens and, you get that feeling inside where it kind of scares you, do you just dive into it? Or like, what's your approach with that?
The thing about fear is a lot of times fear is like such a fake thing. It's
Yeah.
so many times fear is such a fake thing, and a lot of times it's the fear itself that is the failure of people. It's not actually starting something and failing. A lot of fears that people have is honestly just from them just not knowing if they can be successful the first time. And that's again where I just beg people to just be patient, just focus on just developing a circle, focus on developing a mindset, focus on developing skills that are marketable. And if you're doing that on like a weekly basis, you are so far ahead from so many people. So be grateful about that. And if you can practice that, that's another habit. Like practicing gratitude. Oh my gosh, not even like just being happier, but you will literally produce better work for your clients. If you have clients, you will literally be a better employee. You will be a better husband, father, son, whatever. If you just like practice, like in those moments of silence where I mentioned, I literally just like count my blessings. Like, wow, my mom, she struggled with breast cancer for many years and now she's completely clear. And like just every now and then I just like think like she could still be struggling with that. Like a lot of people do have to struggle with that. Like I could not function in business if my mom was struggling with that because I'd be a wreck. So I'm so grateful that whatever you believe, that whether it's God or the universe or whatever, has allowed my mom to be healthy. And so when I can start out my day thinking those things, I just am kinder to people. I just kind of am more patient with things and just opportunities just kind of flock to.
Dude, it's so true. That's when I actually took the time to create that habit of being grateful every single day. I literally saw everything change in my
Right.
life. And So yeah, dude, that's a great point that you bring up.
Which, by the way, when I said my mom struggled with breast cancer, I want to explain. She didn't have breast cancer, so there's like periods where like the cancer's starting to like develop, and like she had to get screened like every 9 months. So like that was what I was explaining. She never like had cancer or anything. I just want to
Gotcha.
explain
Yeah,
that.
good point. Good point to make. So with your marketing agency, you're in high school, you're taking on clients. Where'd you take that agency? I know that you kind of started off having this full digital marketing agency, then you zoned in on Facebook advertising. You took on clients just here in Indiana, other places in the country.
Yeah, we had a couple clients outside the state. No, not outside the country, but we definitely had clients outside the state for sure, but
Yeah.
none outside the country.
Yeah, outside the state. That's what I meant. So, with that, where'd you take it next? What was that next step for you? I know you've been working on multiple different things, a couple companies that I don't know if you want to touch on and
Yeah,
share
sure.
some things.
So the agency, it just got to a point where I just wasn't happy.
Why?
I mean, like, what is like a successful, like, what is like a happy life? It's not. Usually, it doesn't. It's usually money's not involved. Usually, things are not involved. Usually, it's like you're waking up, confident, grateful. You're going to bed feeling accomplished, feeling like you left the world with something. You feel like you have good relationships. You're able to. You just feel confident. You have a purpose. Like that's a happy life, right? And when I was running my agency, like I had the money, I had all the media articles, all that shit that you talked about. But like there'd be times where I'd go to bed and I'm like, is that it? Like, what else is there? Like maybe I need more of it. And it's like that was where like mentors are just so valuable, because I'd go to mentors and say, I'd start to ask these questions about these feelings and thoughts, and I'd start to think like maybe I just need more money, or like maybe I need to travel more, or maybe I need to party more, or maybe I need to do crazier drugs. Like obviously I wouldn't go to them, but like the point was like I was starting to draw these assumptions or these ideas on how to just be more comfortable in my own skin, and obviously that just wasn't the right track. And so like my mentors just kind of helped me to stay grounded and kind of help me stick to my life priorities and what really matters, which was just being having a happy life, right? It's just not all about money.
Facts, man. That's big facts. And so, I'm curious as to this mindset that you talk about when it comes to someone that you're trying to mentor yourself, let's say.
Sure.
What's the importance of mindset that you would tell these types of people? What would you tell them to do to develop this type of mindset? Because this obviously isn't something. This mindset, I truly believe, isn't something that someone's just born with.
Sure. So, I'd say, excuse me. I'd say to start out, it goes back to that quote that I mentioned earlier. The world is like view the world as like your classroom, right? If you just kind of approach the world as like just a more curious person, like I want to go talk to that person and I want to go learn their story, and I want to make sure that I connect with them on social media, and maybe I even want to compliment them. After you've done that, you just created a great relationship. But what if that person, 6 months later, if you keep that relationship, is going to open up a door for you? That was something you have desired for many, many years. You don't know, but if you connect with hundreds of people, just throughout your journey, and you're just constantly connecting with people, you're going to open up those doors. But what did you do first? You first recognize that I might learn something from that someone. You're optimistic about something that you might be able to learn. And so I would just encourage people to just be very optimistic in the things that you can learn around your world, and just kind of just be more aware of your surroundings. Like go solo travel. Like I solo traveled quite a lot. At first it was kind of weird and different. It was lonely at times. I was like, I didn't really know what to do. But as I started to just get more connected with the local culture and started talking to more locals and just getting more insight on what to do, like I got such great perspective, and I developed such incredible mindsets because I pulled myself out of like the ecosystem that I was in. It's very hard to develop mindsets if you just stay in Greenwood, Indiana. Like you have to get out of your house. In startups in Silicon Valley and accelerators, one of the most common things that they say is get out of the house. Don't stay in your office. Don't stay in the co-working house. Get out. Go meet people. Go talk to your customers. Go talk to people in press. Like go learn things, just submerge yourself in the world around you.
When you did the solo traveling, was that here in the United States?
Yeah, mostly.
Where were you
I mean,
staying?
a couple times in Canada, but
Were you like staying with people you knew sometimes, or just hotels?
people that I met with on
Peop-
that I met with on social
Gotcha.
media, there's a lot of people that I literally just connect with. Like, hey, I'd love to stay up there. There's some people that I got clients out of it. You know, like they just kind of like learned who I was, and they had a business or something like that. It's like that's some of those things when you kind of like take off the shades. Like a lot of people talk shit about Indiana. And I will condemn the hell out of everyone because you're lazy and you're boring. Like you're sitting at your house watching Netflix. Yes, of course, I can live in San Francisco and watch Netflix all the time, and San Francisco would be boring. There's some cool stuff around Indiana.
There
There's some
is.
cool stuff around Indianapolis.
This
but you
man
gotta
has a
get out.
tattoo of Indiana on his
Exactly.
arm.
Like I've had people make fun of me for having an outline of tattoo. Like I have pride in it, you
Yeah.
know. So it's just a mindset shift.
For sure. So, what would be some of your biggest inspirations that you think have impacted you? Or
Like-
people who are some of your biggest inspirations, whether it be someone you know personally, someone that you know through, that's been famous, or
I said my dad.
Mm.
My dad, he's just the greatest example of just a servant. He just is constantly helping other people and asking what can he do for other people.
Love that. And what would you say your definition of a success would be?
Like for me personally, or for like what the world should view success.
Let's do both. That's a good. I like that perspective.
For me personally, I'm in a state of I'm learning new things. I'm doing great stuff, and I'm teaching people, and I'm constantly doing that. So if I'm learning things, if I'm doing great work, and usually doing great work entails making money. If I'm doing great work and making money, and if I'm teaching people as well, if I can be doing those three things, I'm really happy.
And so then, what do you think the society should view success as?
Well, honestly, I just think they shouldn't view success as like achievement or like an accomplishment or just this singular thing. Like success is like this revolving door. Like you don't want to have a successful life is like a legacy. Like what people think success a lot of times, like money or like fame. Like I mean, like go for it, like yourself. Like go get famous. Like go make a lot of money. But I promise you, like there's going to get to a point where you're gonna be like, is this all it is?
There's no fulfillment.
Right. Like a lot of people, they hear me say that and they're like, but I mean, maybe I didn't. I definitely was like not anything famous. Like I had a couple articles and everything in like the social media world. Like I was kind of known, but just my little taste, if you even call that, I call it more popularity rather than fame. But if you call that more attention, rather, that little bit. I mean, it was great in the beginning. It was great to get business, but that attention just created a lot of just anxiety and just expectation. Where like you have to be the successful person. You have to be the person who knows what they're talking about. You can't be the person who opens up, and it just I just wasn't happy.
Yeah, putting all of that aside, I mean, as far as speaking social media specifically, what are those couple tips that you could give the listeners on how you can get more awareness for your company, your business, your brand? How do you how were you able to grow? You were really good at all social media, but Twitter specifically was kind of that first platform that you took off with, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
So what did you learn through just growing social media accounts?
Yeah. Social media is just a platform for conversation, and if you just have content that creates conversation, and the other word for conversation, we can call it engagement.
Yeah.
And so the thing about Facebook, Twitter, all these platforms, if you learn the game if you learn Facebook's game, like for example, Facebook wants good content on their platform because they want to have a good experience. Well, how do they measure that? Relevancy scores, positive feedback, negative feedback, and there's metrics where you can actually see that. So if you're looking at those, if you're not looking at those metrics, well, how are you improving your content? So just learning the game, learning the algorithms of these different platforms. That's how you can just achieve just crazy just growth on these different social media platforms.
Yep, exactly. And so with what do you have going on right now? What are you currently up to? What's that project that you're working on?
So the thing I'm really excited about right now is the Startup Foundation. It's a nonprofit founded by Don Wetchick, Hunter Stone, and myself. And
What's it called?
The Start Ed Up Foundation.
Okay,
I said that
gotcha.
kind of fast. The Start Ed Up Foundation. And what we do is we empower and equip student innovators and entrepreneurs. How we do that is we provide something called a Student Innovation Night to different cities around Indiana and soon outside of the state, where 40 to 50, 60 high school students will meet in one room, and a company will meet, and you have different spectators, and this company or a nonprofit will pitch like real problems that they're having in their organization to the students, and, to the audience, which is a bunch of students, of course. Occasionally, parents will come, but these students will then create after hearing these problems, connecting with people on social media or improving their internal communications, or maybe it's product-based problems. These students will internalize these problems and will break off and brainstorm into different sessions and just come up with solutions, and they'll pitch back to this company or nonprofit these solutions, and the company or nonprofit can then hire or work with these students. So these students are getting real world experience. Like my entrepreneurship class in high school didn't teach me anything that I'm doing now, but real world experience, working with real people with real problems and real solutions. That's how you can really develop real skills, and so that's what the Student Innovation Nights provide. And then we're also technically the first ever high school VC fund ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. Ever?
No equity, no interest. So a lot of VC funds, they have college and high school, and we're one to just focus on high school. So Praxis, awesome. They're an incredible, the Thiel Foundation, they're another incredible foundation where they invest in student companies and they mentor them, empower them, but they have colleges, and it's we only focus on only high schoolers, which is a very specific demographic, of course, very different than, of course, the college level.
So where is you and your team wanting to take this project? Are you wanting to go global with this thing, take it to a whole nother level? What's that vision look like?
Sure. So, the word "taking global" is it's such a big thing. A lot of people just throw it around. But I'd say our goal is with the Startup Foundation, we ultimately want to increase. We want to build Indiana's economy firstly, and then if we can do it right here, we want to do it in other cities. Because helping build young entrepreneurs now, helping empower youth to think like an entrepreneur, because not necessarily building their own business, but to just think like an entrepreneur, where they're thinking resourceful, they're developing skills, they're trying to improve themselves. Those different skills of an entrepreneur, which that's really what we're teaching. That's why we kind of have a different, unique audience. But at the end of the day, we just want to empower more student entrepreneurs, because 10 years down the road, their trickle-down economic impact is huge. That's a duplicating system. Our actions today, 15 years, 20 years out, can help build more buildings downtown, just because the trickle-down economy effect, which of course is another conversation, which we totally can, but just kind of empowering youth entrepreneurs in the early stages, so that when they get to the early 20s, they're already leaders teaching other young entrepreneurs. It's that duplicating system.
I love that. And so, dude, you're 20 years old. You have an incredible story thus far. You've started businesses, you've failed at businesses, you're working on this non-for-profit. Obviously this isn't it for you. What does that vision look like for you? Have you figured that out yet? Do you want to go start a lot of businesses? What is your vision for your life, man?
It's a great question. It's a hard question too.
Yeah, very hard. So no pressure. And obviously this is the thing. Vision is always changing.
Yeah, sure.
And every single day, honestly. But if you were to look back, if you're, old and, 100 years old and you're looking back on your life, what would you want people, what would you want to be known for?
Sure. So at the end of the day, if you ask me what's most important, apart from everything, of course, besides, God and family, it's building a legacy. Because, that's how you can really impact the world. Being known 50 years after you've died, being known being known for generations, that's how you actually impact the world. A lot of people who talk about impacting the world, if they're one person, unless they're creating a legacy that's going to last for generations, or unless they're creating a company with many employees, you just can't impact the world. You just can't do that. And so if I want to say I'm going to impact the world, then I want to impact and teach as many people now in my life now, so that my words or my teachings can impact people for generations to come. Something that I'm going to be really focusing on in the very near future is book writing. So I'll be coming out with a book pretty soon, which is the first time I'm actually announcing that. But
have you started writing it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on already.
Nice.
But a book, because I believe humans most fundamental purpose on this planet is to share information.
Yep.
Like when you have a kid, you teach them things. In marketing, you're sharing information. At a company, you're sharing information with employees. Everything's information sharing. And so I just love to learn. Like the whole reason why I love to learn new things is because I love to share those things that I learned with other people. And so books can just be a great platform to do that, of course. So that's I just really want to get into a lot of book writing, and that's actually what the Startup Foundation is going to build into eventually. Just we're going to build a publishing wing or department, if you will, for young entrepreneurs to write a book, because what a lot of young entrepreneurs have, they might lack skills, they definitely lack skills, experience because they're young, they're learning, but they might have a great story, they might have passion, and those different, they might have some interesting perspective, and so if we can help them share their stories through book writing, different kind of things, then it's of course a lay, because more people are learning, more people are being inspired by these stories, and more people are being impacted.
So is your book like mainly your story? And
so I don't know how much I want to talk about this first one.
Yeah,
sorry,
no worries.
but it that can be another conversation for another day if we want. But all I'll say is like it's going to be cool, because like if you write a book properly, it can be the best website, the best business card, the best speaking gig, the best video ever. Because like imagine if you could get 10,000 book sales, which is not that hard really. You can make decent money, and imagine 10,000 people like really knowing your story and like really knowing like what you've done. You're going to create fans, and you're going to create a lot of fans, and a lot of those people are going to start to talk about you and recommend you, and like they're going to start gifting your book around, and your story is just going to start to happen, and it's just happening organically.
It's a trickle effect.
Exactly.
I love that. And so are you doing a lot of speaking engagements right now?
I mean, I don't know what a lot is, but when I mean, in 2018, I didn't do really any. In 2017, I did quite a lot. In 2019, I'd say I will be doing more speaking gigs, saying yes to them. In 2019, I'll be building more of my personal brand, so I will be like more like people will be wanting to like come to more asking me for more speaking gigs or to speak in more places. So since I'll be building my personal brand again in 2019 or back to it, then I'll have more opportunities to speak and stuff like that.
Gotcha, dude. Love it. Before I ask my last question, where can people find you?
Twitter. I like Twitter, Instagram. Jeremy Miller with 2 J's. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. Hit me up if you follow me. Definitely like message me and like say you watch the podcast.
Start the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, before I actually ask my last question, is there anything that you want to give a shout out to, plug anyone, say anything? This is your chance to kind of, mic's all yours.
Shout out people. I'd just say like everyone. I mean, everyone in your life is going to contribute something to your life, and if you can just like view people that they're contributing something to your life, whether you can see it right now, whether it's impacting you now or later, it's just a different mind shift. So in terms of people who I'd shout out, just all the people who at the time I didn't see that they're helping me, and now I can look back and I can say like, wow, you guys helped me out and I had no idea. So like my parents, when I thought that they're being so effing annoying, like now I'm like, my parents are some of the smartest people I ever know, you know?
Yeah, that's the coolest thing to me, honestly, is like going along in this journey and then looking back and actually being able to connect the dots.
Yes.
Even the things that happened that you thought you were in the darkest times, you look back on now and you're like, this makes sense. This is why this had to happen. I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason.
Yes, for sure.
So my last question for you. So if there was, let's say, Jeremy, you go through your life, you impact millions of people, you write hundreds of books, you do everything that you want to be doing, and you get to the end of your life, and all of this information and all of these teachings that you've, curated and produced in this world are wiped away forever. And you can only leave one lesson to your children, your family, your close loved ones. There's that one lesson that you learned. What would that lesson be?
Dude, that is such a hard question.
And I know you're young still, but what would you...
Well, it's just hard to, like, narrow down.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many things that... So, like, there's a domino effect in your life. Like, your actions impact so many other actions. It's like... it's just hard to, like, narrow down to one thing, because this one thing is going to impact these 3 other things, and if you do these 3 other things... so... I'd say if there's one thing... Just treat people right. Just treat people with respect. law of reciprocity. If you treat people great now, don't do it only because of this, but if you treat people great at one time, they just feel more inclined sometime in their life that they're gonna pay it back some way. And so if you like Dwight Schrute on The Office, terrible example, but he goes through the entire office, tries to get 30 favors so he can collect all these favors and trade them in for this one thing, right? But in essence, technically, like that type of thinking, it's actually kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, don't do it for that way, but yeah, I'd say just law of reciprocity, just treat people with respect.
Treat people with respect. I love it. Dude, Jeremy, I appreciate you coming on this show, spending time with me, and it was a pleasure interviewing you. I promise you that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be so successful. You're only 20 years old, and you're making an impact already, dude. It's giving me cold chills. I hope that we can continue growing our relationship and partner on making a true impact in a positive way in this world. And yeah, guys, this was another episode of Novelty Growth. I appreciate you listening in. And until next time, I will see you, or you'll hear us then. Later.
Cool.